Did you know that chronic stress shrinks your hippocampus, which is the part of your brain that controls your emotions and memory? And it also engages the amygdala, which is your fear center of the brain. Now you know. Welcome to Mindset Manifesto. I'm Kara, and aka the Kara Dime on Instagram. And today we are going to be talking about one simple habit that you can do to change your life in just 5 minutes a day. And that habit is meditation. And I think there's a lot of misconception around meditation, and people don't really know how to meditate, or when they try to meditate, they get really frustrated. I'm just going to have a very candid conversation about my journey with meditation, what I've learned about meditating, and how it's helped me, and also just give you some actual statistics about the studies behind meditation, because at the end of the day, I want to show you guys some science. So it is fact that stress does reduce the size of your hippocampus and does increase activity in the amygdala. And that is bad news, but the good news is that your brain is plastic, basically, meaning it can change, and meditation is one of the most powerful tools to change your brain. So, welcome, and hold on tight, strap in, and I'm probably going to take a dab before we get into this. But I didn't always really understand meditation when I first started my spiritual journey, as a lot of you know if you listen to my spiritual journey episode. Anywho, I talked about my spiritual journey really starting with Buddhism. And of course, everybody thinks of meditating, I think, with Buddhism. And it's a huge staple of the Buddhist practice. Water. When I first started my spiritual journey, I didn't really like meditation because I felt like I was doing it wrong. It was something that um, I thought you were supposed to empty your mind. You weren't supposed to think about anything at all. You're just supposed to focus on your breath and keep focusing on your breath. And if your mind wanders, that's just the monkey brain. You just bring it back to focus. And I didn't really understand that there were other types of meditation, and that it's not a one size fits all kind of situation, where you do have to find the one that resonates with you, stick with that. And my method was, I had like a eureka moment when it came to meditation. I was sitting there and I just kept asking myself why to the things that came into my mind. I've mentioned this in other episodes before, of using like the why though method. So every time a thought would come up, I would just be like, well, why do I have this thought? Where does this thought come from? And just really follow the trail down the thoughts to figure out, like, where did this come from? Where did I first feel this? Or what do I think about when I think about this feeling or this thought? Or like the feeling that this thought gives me, whether it be like fear of abandonment or like a fear of judgment. Like, where did I first feel this emotion and this like thought process, essentially? And that made me very self-reflective, and it also made me just like be with myself for a little bit. And over time, I became less and less reactive to things because I've already thought it through, and I already know the things that bother me, and like I know myself inside out, essentially. And once you start detaching yourself from the emotions of those thoughts, you can really look at them objectively and just really help yourself in a more practical way. For me, I heard the analogy before I had this eureka moment of like your thoughts being clouds that are passing by and you're just paying attention to them, like as a um, outside observer, basically. And I never really understood that until I started applying it in that way. And at first, if you're still really attached to your emotions, or your identity is attached to a lot of the things that happen to you, it's hard to get into that space to be objective, because I think sometimes we don't want to let go of the things that we're hurt by because we identify with it in some type of way. And I know plenty of people who definitely identify with their traumas. Like, they don't see themselves as someone who something happened to. They see themselves as like a victim of whatever situation, whether they verbally speak that or not. Just the way sometimes um, people carry their traumas, and no judgment to how people need to carry their traumas, but this is just an observation. Those people tend to identify with that pain, and they don't know who they are without that. And I used to be one of those people, and that's why I say that. I didn't really know how to be someone who was happy and not tragically alive. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but I think someone out there will understand what I'm saying, especially us girlies. I think that sometimes we just like wanted people to feel sorry for us in some way. And I think that really aligned with like people pleasing as well. This is a total ramble today, you guys, but it does relate to meditation because doing meditation in that why though method helped me to detach from that person and those things that happened to me, whatever they may be, and able to see them more objectively. So I didn't identify myself with those things anymore. And I found more positive things to identify myself with and just stopped letting that be something that I was always like carrying on my back in a sense. But there was a study also relating to how physically this can impact your brain. So obviously emotional regulation was my story right there, but there's also the science behind what is actually going on in your brain. And it doesn't just, meditation doesn't just make you feel better, it actually creates real measurable changes. And this is a quote: real measurable changes in your body. A groundbreaking study by Harvard in 2011 showed that just 8 weeks of consistent meditation increased the thickness of the prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for decision making, focus, and self awareness. At the same time, it reduced the size of the amygdala, the part of the brain that triggers fear and anxiety. And like I said, that was a Harvard study in 2011. And that was 8 weeks of meditation increased gray matter in the hippocampus and reduced the size of the amygdala. So only 8 weeks of consistent meditation had a physical effect on the brain. So who's to say in 8 months or 8 weeks how it would just create alter how you're acting as a person as well. Like it's physically changing your brain. And I feel like those smaller changes, like making a different decision in this emotional state, um, I feel like those don't show up physically as quickly, but it can happen in a second. Um, who knows? I'm not looking under a microscope when I'm doing it. But and then it gets even better. And quote, researchers at UCLA found that long-term meditators had more gray matter volume in the brain overall compared to non-meditators. This means meditation helps preserve your brain as you age. So that would kind of relate to the memory portion, I believe, or at least that's what I'm thinking. But it's not even a metaphor to say that you can rewire your brain. It's literally proven neuroscience that you can. And beyond what it does to your brain, it does help reduce anxiety and depression, which I think could come from maybe some of that self-awareness that they mentioned. And a meta-analysis of 47 studies published in JAMA, not sure what that acronym is, but found that mindfulness meditation significantly reduced symptoms of anxiety, depression, and stress. And I think maybe some of the anxiety and depression were correlated with the stress, possibly. But anyways, the second thing is that it improves focus and productivity. In a University of Washington study found that people who meditated were more productive at work and better at handling multitasking. I like to believe I'm good at handling multitasking, but I have proven time and time again something slips through the cracks. So I'm not very good at it. I will say that. But that could just be that I'm a little neurospicy. But um, three, they say that it enhances emotional regulation, which I mentioned in my own story. Meditation strengthens your prefrontal cortex, which helps you respond thoughtfully instead of reacting emotionally. And better physical health. Meditation lowers your blood pressure, reduces inflammation, and even strengthens the immune system, according to research from the University of Wisconsin. So that's pretty cool. I don't know. Some of that stuff I could argue that kind of relates to lowering stress, and then having just more bandwidth and capacity can help you to just increase the quality of life in some or most areas. I feel like that makes a lot of sense. When you're more self-reflective, you kind of feel, at least for me, I feel a little more in control. So I think that could definitely be it. So I know I mentioned that you only need to do it 5 minutes, so I wanted to have a little bit explaining why 5 minutes is enough. And one of the biggest misconceptions about meditation is that you need to spend hours, like I said, sitting in silence, but just a few minutes can lead to noticeable changes. So, for example, a study at the University of California found that just 12 minutes of daily meditation over 8 weeks improved memory and attention. If you don't have 12 minutes, start with 5. What they found matters is consistency. Think of it like brushing your teeth. Small daily habits add up to massive long term results. So, their study was 12 minutes daily, but still, you could do two 5 minute sessions, like one in the morning, one in the evening. Um, and I think really the next thing is kind of telling you guys about how to get started. There is a book about meditation. I cannot remember who it's by, but the cover is blue and there's a little like hand drawn head, almost like a little Buddha head. And the name, I want to say it's like Yumi, and maybe it's called How to Meditate or Meditate. Man, I'm drawing a blank, but I'll put it in the in the summary. I'll look it up and figure it out. But it was very informative about the different types of meditation that you can use, and it kind of walks you through an example of all of them. And I think it's really useful for a lot of people who kind of don't know where they want to go in that journey yet. And I stumbled upon mine naturally, but I think that you may not even know the options that are out there for you when it comes to meditation. Like I said, I like to meditate while I'm doing the dishes, like a mindfulness meditation or like a walking meditation, or I like to dabble in some guided meditations every so often. And some people like mantras, some people like just the breath focus, and you can also do things like pranayama, which is kind of like it's breath work, but it's kind of meditative to some people. Yoga, movement meditation, like there's so many different things that you can do for meditation. And I think that it's really easy to put meditation into a box, but there is physical and neurological changes that it can make to your life and improve your overall being. So I think it's something definitely worth trying. And I think that a really good resource is also the Insight Timer. I feel like I've mentioned that on the podcast before, but Insight Timer is a great app. I have I think it's either Pro or Premium, whatever their like bot version is, and you can join lives. I'm not sponsored, by the way. Like this is just something that I actually really enjoy using, and I also just hold more space to be off of my phone. So I use the Opal app, and I'll put the links for both of mine for that in there. The Opal one, like you can do the free trial if you want, but I just have the free version right now. Um, I'm seeing that if I use it really well, I'll buy the Pro or whatever it is. But I do have the Insight Timer one, but I don't have like an affiliate link or anything. I'll just send like my profile link so that you guys we can all be in like a meditation group or something. But I'm gonna put those links in the show notes so that you guys can try them out. And I think it's really important to get started on this journey because it can help you age slower mentally. And I think we all kind of want to be on top of our shit. So, yeah, that's all. But thanks for joining. Happy Sunday. And that's it.